paper attempting strategy. There is no fixed strategy that everyone must follow, but you can follow the strategy you prefer and with which you are comfortable. So I used to do botany first, followed by zoology, then chemistry, then physics. This was my strategy. So already I lost 5 minutes, as I told you earlier. So I started with botany, then zoology. So I could save the 5 minutes I lost there in botany and zoology, because together it took me 25 minutes. And since I started with botany was specifically more easy, and that did boost up my morale a lot. But when I came to zoology, I was a little bit disappointed because it was a little bit difficult, especially the section B part. And there was one question in section A which I was very confused about. So I was a little bit disappointed when I came to zoology. Then I came to chemistry. Chemistry as such was also a little bit difficult, but I was not disappointed as it. Then I went on to physics. Physics section A went very well for me, but section B was particularly more difficult. So section B, I lost a lot of time in section B. And then after completing one round of solving all the questions, I went for marking in the OMR sheet. One thing I can suggest here is that people tend to make mistakes while marking responses on the OMR sheet. This should be completely avoided, because हमें ऐसा क्वेश्चन गलत नहीं करना होता जो हमें आता है. So always try to make sure that you are always marking the correct answer on the OMR. And make your own strategy. Some people prefer to complete one subject, like solve the subject and then mark it on the OMR, but I do not prefer it that way. I prefer to do the entire question paper and then do the OMR. For this, you need to solve a number of question papers so that you are able to track down your own strategy. I want you to take a look at some of the questions that I found very easy yet interesting. Question number 24. So this question as such was very easy, but actually if you see, the options were very close to each other and there was a high possibility of making mistakes. So here you had to use two formulae. First was Einstein's photoelectric equation and second was de Broglie wave equation. So if you could use these two formulae together, you would be able to solve this question. So that was our 24th question. So this involved a mix of several concepts and as such was a very easy question, but you could make silly mistakes while doing this question. Next, I'd love to take this question, wherein it says 78% carbon. But if you see the options, none of them have 78% carbon. So there are two options which are very close. One is CH4 and one is CH3. So out of these, one has 80% and one has 75%. So since 80% is more closer to 78%, you'll have to go with 80%. Next question, question number 118. It was a direct line from NCERT and that suggests the importance of NCERT as well. So carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, calcium, that makes it standing state. A question from Zoology 177, again a direct line from NCERT, and the answer for this would be Myasthenia gravis. To deal with controversial questions, there are many questions जिसमें कभी-कभार एक आंसर सही नहीं होता, 2-3 आंसर सही हो जाते हैं. तो ऐसे questions में हमें सबसे सही आंसर चूज करना है. You have to choose the most appropriate option. And to acquire the skill, it is very important to understand the NCERT, and at the same time you should solve a number of mock tests so that you are able to acquire the skill of choosing the most appropriate option out of the given 4 options. This is a very important skill required during the NEET exam. मैंने मॉक टेस्ट में बहुत सारी मिस्टेक करी है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई ऑलवेज यूज टू read incorrect as correct, correct as incorrect, and make a number of silly mistakes regarding it. And another mistake I did was, messing up with the units and also reading radius as diameter or vice versa. So such silly mistakes have played a very important part in my preparation, and I was determined not to make any in the final exam. So whenever you make any mistakes while your preparation, just understand why you made that mistake and make sure that you're not repeating it in the final exam. Don't worry about mistakes, but take them seriously and work hard for them so that you're not repeating them on the day of final exam. ऐसे कुछ questions थे जिसमें मैं कुछ concepts भूल रही थी, but yes, my tricks helped me with that. So I made a small diary जिसमें मैंने वो concepts लिख के रखे थे जो मैं बार-बार भूल जाती थी. Repeated revision के बाद भी भूलने वाले concepts मैंने diary में note कर रखे थे, and I used to read it every day before the exam. I'd also read it a day before the exam, so that helped me a lot on the final day. So you need to find out tricks or strategies that work for you and finally adapt them on the day of the exam. Even though the duration of NEET exam is 3 hours, it's not that you'll get the entire 3 hours. There are a lot of formalities on the exam day like signatures, thumbprints, so you're bound to lose some time. So always keep this in mind during your preparation and always keep this in mind while attempting mock tests that you're not going to get the entire 3 hours. Try to finish your paper 10 to 15 minutes prior the given time. I would like to give some tips to the aspirants. First of all, it's important to write all your mock tests in the same 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. time window because NEET is held in this time period and you should practice all your mock tests in the same time period. Second thing is that the strategy that I'm talking about here should be prepared not a day before or maybe a week before the exam, but 2 to 3 months before the exam itself. There are a number of strategies. There are different orders in which you can attempt the paper, and you need to experiment with strategies so that आपको पता चलता है कि आपके लिए कौन सी strategy work करती है. So try to experiment as much as possible so that you're able to understand which strategy works best for you. Some people start with biology, but some prefer to start with physics. It's because each person is different. Each person has their own strong and weak points. So always remember, your strategy is something that you have to come up with. You cannot just follow anyone else's strategy. So work for your strategy way before the exam itself and be very prepared, and do not try anything new on the day of exam. You need to follow your own same strategy that you are following since your preparation time period. And another thing is that you're not going to get any rough sheets on the day of exam. Try to do all the rough work within the same question paper itself. Try to utilize as much space as possible so that you don't run into problems on the day of exam.